Yeah. Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 2-Point Conversion with two members of the Going for Two live family here. I'm Kyle Senra, and that's Courtney Burrows. Courtney, how you doing?
I'm great, Kyle. How are you?
Fantastic. It's a wild week in not just in the West, but all over the continent and in the NFL. And it was a lot of moving parts shaking around in terms of the teams. A lot of quarterback moves via trade too. But yeah, free agency and big contracts being signed is the.
It has been crazy, hasn't it?
Oh yeah.
I think this has been one of the most fun and crazy, not expected free agencies that we've seen in a while.
I think increasing cap has allowed teams to just spend a lot of money, cut quarterbacks with massive dead cap hits. Damn it, Denver, why'd you do that? So what Courtney and I are going to talk about tonight, basically, it might end up being some of the same, but 6 different free agents each, so probably 12 players in total. 3 that we have as our 3 favorites, and 3 we view as the 3 worst free agency signings. And then we might be able to talk some fantasy football as well. I think there's a couple of quarterback situations that are really interesting right now. So let's get started, Courtney.
Let's do it. You want to start, or you want me to?
Well, what would you like to start with, our favorites or our worst?
Some of mine kind of segue into each other, so maybe we'll just throw out one. Why don't you throw out one, and then I'll throw out one, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, so let's count up or count down? Go from 3 to 1?
So worst to best?
Yeah, like if we're saying like the 3 favorites,
yep.
Then like we'll save our best for last kind of thing.
All right, I like it. Let's do it.
All right, well, I'll kick us off here. And even though we are a fantasy football show, some people love IDP. I know, hey, Jamie's in the chat. Perfect timing, Jamie. He loves IDP. So he might like this one especially. This I was kind of thinking more NFL specific. Like this is, I think, a great signing for the NFL team. And number 3, I'm going with defense. Although I will say I did win a couple IDP leagues with this player. So shout out to Frankie Louvu, who got some big money, a 3-year, $36 million deal from the Washington Commanders. They made a lot of signings. They were really aggressive on a lot of moves. Looks like they'll be drafting a quarterback, so they're surrounding that quarterback at least with a competent defense, especially for Dan Quinn. And I think Frankie Louvu as a pass rusher is kind of an all-important need on a team that once they traded away Montez Sweat and Chase Young, that was solely lacking. So Frankie Louvu might be even upgrade over both of those. I know the Bears are pretty happy with Montez Sweat right now. And actually, where did I see Chase Young sign earlier today?
To the Saints, baby.
I did. Okay, yeah, I did see that. Yes. Yeah, we can quickly transition to that. I don't know if that's one of your favorites, but I think Frankie Louvu is a great move by.
It's not one of my favorites, but I do like it. I think he'll do really good with Cam Jordan, and it'll be nice. Our defense hasn't been that horrific, right? It's actually been one of our brighter spots, and I think it's good. But it kind of. I wonder why he's gone to 3 teams in 3 years. Is it just a money thing, or is it just unhappy with the coaching? I don't know. So we'll see how it plays out. But I think if anybody can play well with younger, maybe egotistical guys, which maybe Chase Young is, it's Cam Jordan. That guy's a beast, and he is well loved in the locker room. And I think that he can really help, better him as a person. Because I already think he's a great player. So we'll go from there. We'll see.
Well, and I think because Washington made both moves, right? They trade away both Young and Sweat. It didn't seem like it was specifically about Young. Like they were really just trying to rebuild, move on. You know what? They ended up with the 2nd overall pick and build what looks to be like a franchise quarterback here. It's not the first time they've had the 2nd overall pick and tried to take a franchise quarterback. So
we hope so. We'll see.
Yeah. I wouldn't hold that against Young. And then, his contract expiring with the 49ers, it just maybe wasn't a good fit there. Like he made some good plays at times, but then, didn't shine so much in that defense. There's a lot of great players. So
true.
We'll see. But like you said, he also won't be the main focus of attention, which I think will really help. Like, I think offensively, teams will still look at Cameron Jordan and be like, hey, that's where we have to add extra attention.
All right, let's see mine next. I am going to go with winner. I am going to go with the chalk because it's March Madness and I'm already thinking about chalk players and all that stuff for March Madness. But I'm going to go with Cousins. You know that Cousins is more, he's gotten more money than Tom Brady overall. Like, that's ridiculous to me. And the
He's
fact
getting
that
a
he
franchise
is
tag a couple years and then these big extensions. Yeah,
what
I can see it.
what a smart guy, right? And that's the thing with Cousins. Cousins is one of those
He's
guys
got all
that is
those gold chains.
always.
You can afford a lot of them. Sorry.
I think I saw today like 412 million that he's accrued over these last couple, and I'm like, and I think that I saw it on a side by side on Twitter today that it was like 355 for Tom Brady, which is crazy, right? Because Kirk Cousins is nowhere near a Tom Brady, but Kirk Cousins is smart and he's consistent. And if anything needs to happen in Atlanta, and I hate to say it because they were in my division, right? But I could see Cousins winning that division and I could see him because he's got all the pieces around him now, right? And it's not that he didn't have them before, but I don't think that Aaron Jones is Bijan, right? And I'm sorry, not Aaron Jones. I don't think that Madison and Cook were oh my gosh, were Bijan, right? And that, and you've got Drake London and you've got Kyle Pitts. He made Hawkinson look great last year before he got hurt, right? Hawkinson was what, for a while there, he was like the third tight end. So I think that Pitts is finally going to get his due share this year, and I think he's going to be. I think they're all going to play really well. And I know it's chalk, but I like the move, even though because I've always liked Cousins. I just hate that it's in my division.
The one thing I'll say, it seems like the NFC South has decided we're not going to collectively be the worst division in football again. Like we're all raising the floor. I mean, not to say it was that bad. I mean, two teams had winning records last year, so it's like we've definitely seen divisions be worse. A couple of years ago when Washington won the NFC East with a 7-9 record. That was a rotating group of quarterbacks. But yeah. Okay, so I guess do you want to go with our now to the worst? Because I think that was a good pick in terms of good for Atlanta. Look, they've got their quarterback.
Yeah.
Certainly needed an upgrade. Good for Cousins. 180 million is a nice contract. It was the biggest contract signed this year. So
Yeah, insanity, right? Insanity.
now, okay, my quick question for you: do you think it's a bigger win for Drake London or Kyle Pitts?
Well, I think ultimately, I think it'll be Drake London, but I think Kyle Pitts is going to get his due share, and I think he is going to have an incredible year, and I think he'll be. I project him as a. I think he could easily be a top 3 tight end this year. I do.
And
I do.
And I think that's why I'm kind of leaning Kyle Pitts as much as I've been pretty anti Kyle Pitts the whole time. I
Yes.
think Drake London could still do really well, but maybe not raise up the ranks and receivers as far as we want him to, maybe into the top 20. But to be a true elite, it'd be really tough. I don't think London is quite as good as what those elite receivers are, regardless of the quarterback. But
True.
It doesn't take much for to be even a top 6 tight end, and I think Cousins could be the quarterback that gets Kyle Pitts over that hump, not just the yards but the touchdowns. It seems like Pitts hasn't been able to do both. He had great yards his rookie season. Maybe better quarterback with Matt Ryan. Also a notoriously bad red zone quarterback, so no touchdowns with Matt Ryan. And then suddenly, I mean, last year he had Desmond Ridder, who's not, I mean, kind of okay with yards, but he also really bad at throwing touchdowns. So
I think it'll be fun to watch, though, which again makes me sad because they're in my division.
No, for sure. So now, do you want to flip over to our 3 worst and go with number 3 on that side, or we do all the best first? Okay.
No, I don't care. I'm up for whatever.
Same here. I guess it's me then. Okay, so I'll be honest. I kind of, when I was looking through the contracts, I didn't really think anything was too bad. There were 2 that really stood out to me, so finding the third was really difficult. So it's almost a throwaway answer, but I'm gonna kind of say Jacoby Brissett for the Patriots.
Oh.
Just because it does feel like they're just gonna take a rookie quarterback anyway.
Oh yeah.
Now you want Brissett as a mentor, and like you look at his contract, it's really not bad. $8 million, I believe it was, and I was looking like Joe Flacco's. I think he could get up to even more than that, like 8.7 with the Colts if he plays enough. So from terms of backup money, it seems like what that is. But it's more just I'm wearing the Canadian hat, right? Dynasty curling hat. I wanted to see Nathan Rourke, the Canadian quarterback, have a chance. And the Patriots also did sign Nathan Rourke. He was on a 1-year contract with the Jags last year. They traded him, or no, they didn't trade him. They waived him to put him on the practice squad. The Patriots picked him up. And so
Yep.
they had the exclusive rights free agent right to match his offer, to like a qualifying offer. They did. They gave him, I think it's 915,000, which, for a guy playing in the CFL a couple years ago, a young Canadian kid, like that's good money. Like no one in the CFL is making 915,000 Canadian. I don't think anyone's ever made that much in the CFL Canadian, let alone 915,000 US. So that's a huge payday. If none of it's guaranteed, so he's got to make the roster for that. But if he does, that's a big payday that could be on a roster, eventually lead to an even bigger payday for a kid just in his second year in the NFL. So it looks like right now it's Jacoby Brissett, Bailey Zappi, Nathan Rourke as the QB room. My hope is they just go Marvin Harrison, to be honest, and then like let's have Rourke have a chance to battle for a starting job. In all likelihood, they're probably going a quarterback. Brissett going to be the mentor backup. It's going to basically look like what it was last year with the Jaguars, unfortunately. But so I thought maybe at the very least, if you didn't spend that money on Brissett, you could spend it elsewhere because that team had a lot of holes and needed a lot of help. Where if you're just going to take that rookie QB anyway, is the mentor really that important? If you've got good staff around, maybe that's the problem too. I think Alex Van Pelt running the offense. I think it's at least he's worked with young quarterbacks before, but it would have been nice to see Nathan Rourke have a chance to really compete for a backup job, and I feel like he's not really going to get that. So I'll say number 3 for Brissett, but yeah, I'm sure Jamie hates that answer though.
Look, I'm telling you, I actually have Rourke in 2 of my dynasty leagues because I have a really good friend that is Canadian, and him and I have talked fantasy all the time, and he was like, pick up Nathan Rourke, pick him up. He's such a talented young kid. So, I mean, just hearing you say that, I'm kind of glad that he's sitting out there for me. I like it.
Yeah, I've got him in 7 of my 10 dynasty leagues currently, and
I like it.
To maybe try and go even to up that. So definitely my.
I like it. I like it a lot.
The thing is, he's free, so you can just go pick him up. Let's say,
yes.
As you've done, like it's easy to. I noticed one league I tried to pick him up in. Someone actually picked him up in another league. I believe they ended up dropping him. I think I ended up picking him up eventually, or
another Canadian probably.
Another Canadian. It's like someone else actually picked this guy up. Wow, it's amazing. So yeah, go get Nathan Rourke. He might be a backup quarterback this year. He might not. We'll find out.
I like him. I hope they hold on to him. I like him.
And Jamie's kind of banking on like maybe what I'm saying. Like they just either trade down from 3 or they stick there and just take Marvin Harrison Jr. and give Brissett / Rourke this amazing generational receiver, and that's how you build this team out. So that's what I'm hoping for. We'll find out.
I mean,
the Bears have crushed my dreams already.
Oh my gosh, that's another discussion.
We're talking about that later. That's
okay. So mine's going to be kind of, mine's not so much as who they took or didn't take, but I guess it kind of is. Mine's Dallas. Who in the heck are they going to have run the ball? Deuce Vaughn, like he had flashes last year, but I don't think that he is running back 1 material, right? It's kind of what everybody was saying about Zamir White, and now they just signed Madison today for the Raiders, right? So I kind of think that because there's not a ton of – there's a couple, Blake Corum, a couple other guys that are good in this but I don't see anybody that's off the board like, woo, we got to have that running back. That's true. I kind of think that Dallas kind of, for lack of a better word or dad joke, fumbled that one big time because there were so many. But there were so many out there, right? There were so many out there that they could have done with it. And it's not like Jerry Jones, it's not like he couldn't move stuff around and made money or whatever because he's, uber rich, and that organization, they should have picked somebody up. I just think that they dropped the ball. I really do.
Yeah, and I mean, there's still a few players out there I think that are still unsigned. Madison is maybe one of them. I don't know that you're really hitching your wagon there. My quick take is like
he just went to the Raiders.
Well, I know they could have, but like they can't.
Oh yeah.
If that's who their big signing was going to be, you're better off just probably just taking the rookie. To your point about the rookie class, so Ray Davis was from Kentucky. He ended up with my highest film score in my grades, and you can I wrote an article on that on fullpresscoverage.com that people can check out. His grade would have put him 11th in last year's class.
Wow.
So it at the high end doesn't seem like there's that elite running back. It does seem, however, the Cowboys are destined to take a running back in the second or probably 3rd round. I don't see him going on the 3rd round and not taking one. Now, I guess I'm just trying to think of who's available free agency wise. I guess a lot of those guys did end up getting signed, but
they did. I know. I'm trying to think of it too, and I can't.
Kamara didn't end up getting released by the Saints either, and that was something I was wondering if it might happen, considering all their cap problems. But he's still on the team right now, so he should still be good.
I mean, I guess what? I mean, potentially, I mean, you could grab like somebody like a Dalvin Cook. I mean, or
Yeah. The
something.
one thing, honestly, probably should just sign Zeke again because he
I've
knew at
heard
the
that. I've
end.
heard that rumor floating around. I don't know if he'd go back. I felt like he probably felt, but I mean, I know money talks, but it's also kind of a pride thing too. Like they kind of did him dirty, and so I don't know if they would take him back, if he would want to go back. But money talks.
Yeah, and part of it is also they have given him a lot of money earlier in his career too, so I don't know if he's that upset with them. Maybe some of the negotiations I think were more contentious than they wanted it to be. Oh, yeah, I was just looking through the list. So J.K. Dobbins is still available.
Oh,
Now, coming
okay.
off the Achilles injury, and I guess you could say the same thing for Cam Akers, right? And like,
Yep.
if you think they've healed well enough, if
Oh,
that's the
yeah.
route Dallas goes, I mean, those guys are still just floating out there right now.
I forgot about Cam Akers. He's young too.
Yeah, I mean, they're both 2020 guys. So yeah, they're in their fourth year, or they've just played 4 seasons. I mean, they've mostly
Yeah.
missed a lot of that though. So like J.K. Dobbins basically
Hmm.
is like less than 2 seasons played.
Yeah. Interesting. I forgot about those two out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know other running backs are trying to think, but yeah, no, that is a good point though. Like, I don't even think it's just at running back. It feels like Dallas hasn't done anything in free agency, and maybe it's okay, we've got Dak Prescott, C.D. Lamb, and Micah Parsons extensions to worry about. But then why haven't those come out, right? Like, if that's what the holdup is, then they should also at least speed up on one of them, right? Like, it feels like Lamb, you just want to lock it in before the wide receiver market really explodes. And same with Parsons. So
Well.
if you get those two done, I can maybe see them holding out on Dak like they've done in the past. But like to me,
Uh-huh.
like Lamb and Parsons seem like no brainers. Like just whatever they're if you have to reset the market to get them, just do it. And if that's what the holdup is on not signing these free agents, I'm not sure why Dallas hasn't done it up to this point.
Well, and it's not like he was a big contributor, but they just dropped Michael Gallup today too. So
Yeah, that's true. That is that's right. I remember seeing that. So yeah, it's slim pickings on the skill positions for the Cowboys. Jake Ferguson, baby. It's all Lamb and Ferguson and Brandon Cooks. All right, so I guess we'll go back to the good.
okay.
You mentioned, it's funny, you mentioned Michael Gallup. I'll go to another Michael. This wasn't someone who changed teams, but I thought, oh, the Colts franchise tagging Michael Pittman. Is there any risk that they can't get anything done? Like that, if they can't get by July, is this drag into next year? They got that done pretty quickly, and Michael Pittman extended
Yes.
for 3 years. So I think they're happy to get that one out of the way. They've got their what appears to be franchise quarterback in Anthony Richardson, and he and Pittman seem to do well in those early stretches at the season. Pittman still did
Yep.
well with Minshew. He's a capable receiver. You haven't really given him good quarterbacks throughout most of the time, and he's done well. So, he could be the true alpha of this team, passing wise. So give Richardson this receiver for his young career to develop. And so make sure he's locked in there for as long as you have Anthony Richardson, at least through this rookie contract. Smart move by the Colts.
I agree with you. I love Anthony Richardson. I cannot wait to see him come back. I cannot wait to see them next year. I cannot wait. Or next season. So yeah, that'll be fun to watch.
For sure. So what's your second best signing?
Oh, you're gonna laugh when you hear my first one. You might not laugh, but it's just because I'm too much of a fan. But again, I'm kind of going chalk that at what 30, King Henry just got that huge signing, and the Ravens ran. I looked it up today, and the Ravens ran 49% last year with Gus and JK, right? So that's huge to think that, and it's not like he didn't show that many signs of slowing down last year, and maybe this takes a little pressure off of Jackson to not run as much. And I mean, we know he's a beast, and so I just think I think it's really, really good for the Ravens, and I think that last year the Ravens were my pick for the Super Bowl last year, and maybe they'll make a run again, and that would be really, really cool to see. I'm not a Ravens fan, but I think it would be really cool to see. I'm not a Ravens fan, but they were my pick for the Super Bowl last year. And when they went out, I was like, come on. It always seems like they're I don't know. I just feel like the Ravens are like one step behind. And I think that having Derrick Henry will kind of really set the tone for them this year as the team to beat. Like, I really do. I do. So, I mean,
that
gosh,
was something they needed to run the ball more in the playoff game. Maybe that helps them beat the Chiefs, and a guy like Henry We've seen Henry actually beat the Chiefs in the playoffs before. Marcus Mariota threw a pass to himself in that game. Now, that was
So I
Alex
like it.
Smith, not Patrick Mahomes, to be fair. Although that was, I believe, Mahomes' rookie season, so Mahomes was on that team.
I just like it. I think it's a good signing, and I know that was one of the bigs going around, floating around, that it was going to happen, and I'm glad to see it happen. I'm just glad to see it. Still got a little tread on the tires, and I think he's 30. Yeah, 30. That he's getting a chance to play. That he's getting a chance to play and make one more run. Potentially might be his last run for the Super Bowl. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
And who doesn't like
deep playoff run?
Who doesn't like King Henry? Come on.
He's great. Yeah. This giant monster of a man who's actually really
fast.
Yeah.
With his big old dreadlock and his stiff arm. It's great stuff. It's great stuff. It's great stuff.
All right. But also say, well, I'm going to connect the idea here because you gave me a good transition point. But this happened a few weeks ago, so clearly before all these signings. But even before, I think maybe Pittman might have got tagged. But it was certainly before Cousins signed with the Falcons. And I'm pretty sure it was definitely before Pittman signed his extension. But I decided to pivot off of Drake London to get Michael Pittman in a trade. So I ended up giving up Drake London, Tony Pollard, and the 109. Moved back to the 203 as one of the things I got. On top of Pittman, I also got Derrick Henry. And at the time, it felt like, pivoting down from Pollard to Henry. Pollard's like 4 years younger. I think I'd probably rather have Pollard. So, I'll take the older player that the other manager just took over an orphan team and get the old players off my team. You see an orphan, that's the first instinct. So
absolutely.
They wanted that thrown in. Just take Henry off and I'll take Pollard, gets 4 years younger. So at the time I thought, it's a pivot down. I'm obviously moving down in the draft, so I'm losing at those two spots in theory, but I felt it was worth it to go from London to Pittman. Now, with Pollard signing with the Titans and it maybe being a split backfield between him and Tajay Spears, I think I'd rather have Derrick Henry flat up. So basically, the 4-spot move down was to move up both at wide receiver from London to Pittman. Although I've heard some people rank London ahead of Pittman, but clearly I don't. And then, to go up from Pollard to Henry. So I love that move to Henry on the Ravens. So I love that. But it also leads me to talk about the Titans as my second worst signing.
Okay.
They want to build around Will Levis. I get that. But with all the holes on this team, especially offensive line and defense, and maybe that they're saying we're going to address those in the draft more, just feels like this Calvin Ridley contract, a 4-year contract to a 29-year-old, and receivers can maybe play better, but $92 million, $50 million guaranteed to Calvin Ridley. I'm not sure he's better than Hopkins at this point. So they're paying him to be the number one receiver. I'm not sure that he will be. I doubted him last year, to be fair, because I don't know that he's going to overtake Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk's good, but DeAndre Hopkins is a whole different animal. And maybe he's older. He's always had one of the best set of hands in the NFL. His ability to catch, that's not going to go away with age. That's technique. He's got that locked up. Yes. So that part of Hopkins' game is fine. It's the what can he do after the catch, which has never really been his game. Can he run the routes, make the catch downfield, get those first downs, get those touchdowns? Calvin Ridley becomes more the field stretcher. Maybe that's appealing to Will Levis. But I just felt like this seemed like a little unnecessary when you could have maybe spent this money elsewhere. And again, I'm nitpicking. Maybe there wasn't options to go out there and spend on the offensive line as much as maybe they do want to just address it in the draft. But they've also released some offensive linemen. They've eaten up at that O-line more so this offseason than it was last year. It feels like they really needed to address that first and foremost. And I don't know. It feels like you could have got the same type of production from Ridley for a lot cheaper somewhere else, maybe a lot younger.
I agree with you. I did not like that signing either. And I honestly agree with you on Pollard to the Titans. I didn't like that either. I didn't like it either. So I think that is a great choice. It was definitely a surprising choice. So yeah, I'm agreeing with you on that one for sure. All right. What are we up to? Are we up to our last one?
No, it'd be your second worst.
Oh, my second worst. Yeah. Oh, and it's back to, I just was looking at it, how many different things when someone signed, what did it impact the other one, right? Like Pollard leaving impacted Dallas, right? Even though he didn't have a great season last year, but with Cousins leaving, who does it impact more, Addison or Justin Jefferson? And I think the answer is Addison. I think he had a great year last year, but who's going to be throwing to him? A potential rookie or Sam Darnold? I think that he went from a great first-year receiver with Justin Jefferson to now we're looking at, I mean, of course I still have him everywhere because I chose him in a lot of places, but it's like, I don't know what kind of production we're going to get from him. I don't know if he will be putting up numbers. I think that with Cousins leaving and, oh good, look, Jamie's talking about King Henry tomorrow. Yay, love him.
Yeah, little promo for the Going for Two Live Network, the cheat sheet tomorrow night, every second Tuesday. So sorry to interrupt there, Courtney.
Jamie, will you talk about his amazing dreadlock in the back, his one single big dreadlock, please? No, but I think it's Addison. I think Addison is – I don't think that Sam Darnold is that quarterback that's going to continue to elevate him. And I sure as heck don't think that it's going to be – we're thinking that the Vikings are going to continue to try to move up and try to get up there and try to get like a J.J. McCarthy or somebody. I don't think that – I mean, now in time, yes, but I think he will take a big dip this next fantasy season. I do.
Yeah, I think Jefferson can sustain it. It's almost like the Hopkins thing. His ability to catch the football is so great that and he showed it last year. He had some really great fantasy performances with subpar quarterback play.
Yes.
Maybe going to hurt his ability to be a wide receiver 1 overall, but
yes.
Yeah, I still like Jefferson's ability. The one thing I could see, I think the health of Hawkinson is huge. Because if Hawkinson takes most of the season to get healthy and Addison is kind of there as the number 2 option uncontested, I think he can still have a pretty good fantasy year. I say Hopkins, I meant Hawkinson.
Hawkinson. Yeah.
If he returns from injury quickly, though, maybe there's that competition for who's the number 2 target. So I'm hesitant to move Addison down in my dynasty rankings. I've been pretty high on him. Like, I think I still have him right around wide receiver 20, certainly still in the wide receiver 2 range for me. I don't think I could put him outside the top, certainly 30, maybe even 25 if I really wanted to lower him. But I guess I'm patiently waiting to see what they do in the draft. So
true.
Do they trade up with the Patriots? Do they find enough ammo to go up there and get Drake May? Drake May's throwing to Jordan Addison or Jaden Daniels. I think I like that. To where I think he can not be as good as Cousins was last year, but sustain a lot closer to that than say a McCarthy or a Bo Nix or a Michael Penix.
I'm just a pessimist, I guess.
Or Sam Darnold. The worst case scenario, Sam Darnold is the guy throwing. I think we want the rookie.
Poor right. Sam Darnold.
Well, we'll go away from the pessimistic side and go to the optimistic. So do you want to end with the best or do you want to end with the worst?
Let's end with the best. So let's end on a high note. Okay, let's go back to our
misery. So
all right. So talk about your number 1 misery.
The LA Chargers trading away, releasing Mike Williams, trading away Keenan Allen, and they make some other signings, low-key signings. And then for some reason, let's not only we've still got Donald Parham. I think he's fine. Let's go sign Hayden Hurst, which I thought was an okay move too. On top of that, let's go pay Will Dissly like $14 million, $10 million guaranteed. Trying to find that contract. Yeah, 3-year, $14 million deal, $10 million fully guaranteed. Huh? Like, it's not huge money. Not certainly what like Calvin Ridley got, but like, why? Like, to me, they should have been the team going out there and signing a Gabe Davis. Like, go spend that money on a wide receiver. I love Josh Palmer, again, Canadian. Right now, he and Quentin Johnson being your 2 starting receivers feels like this window you've opened up with Herbert just doesn't seem great. But I feel like, Courtney, you want to say something about the Chargers?
No, but that's my number 1 loser too. It's just amazing to me. It's like, who in the heck do you think that? What are you doing to Justin Herbert? This poor kid had this incredible rookie year after, the Tyrod Taylor incident. And I just feel like they have not, he never makes the mark, right? He continues to fail. Now you're giving him more ammo to continue to fail. And it just kills me. Like, I know that I'm not the GM and I know that I'm not the new coach, but give me a break, you guys. What the heck are you doing, LA?
Now, to be fair, they went and got Gus Edwards, which I think he would have been a good fit in Dallas. Like, that's something Dallas should have done. So at least I'll give kudos to them. Like, okay, they've got some young running backs. You can maybe take some pressure off Herbert. I think that's maybe more what they're doing. But now you've also taken his advantages away. Like, I get releasing Mike Williams, and I suppose if you kept Mike Williams, I think I understand trading away Keenan Allen. But like, it feels like doing both and then
Yes.
not addressing the wide receiver position because they saved a bunch of money doing that. But I guess they saved it all so they could pay Herbert. So yeah. Damn it, Chargers.
I know. I was the same one. That was my loser too.
Yeah, they couldn't win before, so they're definitely. I mean, I guess to Jamie's point, we're not going to win with this roster anyways. Let's blow it up and maybe win in the long term. I think Harbaugh did that like big 8-year rebuild at Michigan. You're not quite the same in college as it is in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Maybe there's too much money involved now. But let's talk with the positives here. So,
all right.
Number one sign. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
I'll go first because it's a perfect segue because my number one was with Justin Herbert getting absolutely crapped on. I am very thankful that they took Gus the Bus. He is going to be their RB1. He had I think like 800 plus yards when after Dobbins went down for the Ravens last year, right? But on top of that, he had almost 200 receiving yards. And so I think that he is going to be Justin Herbert's new best friend. I think he's going to be his new best friend. I really, really do. And so I think that that's a great signing. And I like it. And I think that after the whole debacle, because I wasn't looking at it, I was just like, okay, cool. Yeah, they got Gus the Bus. But after this whole thing with, trading Keenan Allen and just like, I just felt like it was almost imploding. I was like, well, at least he's got Gus the Bus. Yay. Good for Gus. Good for Herbert. So that was my number one after just being like looking at the losers and being like, oh, poor Justin Herbert. So yeah, that's mine.
And I think which is worse to that is like he's not really a pass catching back either. He had I think a career high last year in catches with 12. So it also does speak to me. I think there's still some type of split going on there. There's still, I mean, they could also be a team that drafts a running back. Maybe that's what this symbolizes is we're going to have maybe like J.K. Dobbins' rookie season where he was super effective, but he like basically was almost a 50-50 split with Gus Edwards. Now, Dobbins was the pass catching back too. So that they might also like, okay, our rookie running backs have to be a pass catcher.
Yeah.
There's that one's been the rumor of Blake Corum's going to go there because Harbaugh had him at Michigan. You're just going to bring him right to the NFL. He would complement as that pass catcher, which feels like Herbert really does need just because of how the sheer volume they're going to pass. So it also feels like, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's Isaiah Spiller. I think he's got at least a chance, but it also does feel like that regime didn't draft him. They're just going to draft their own running back, and Spiller could be buried. So
I agree, and I don't think that. I mean, I think that if they would have really liked Spiller, they would have been using him more by now. So, which is a shame because I got Spiller in a lot of dynasties too.
I got him in a couple spots. Do have one Zamir White share. Actually, I did want to address this earlier because I felt like those guys are really similar entering last year. Now they're wildly apart. Zamir White could be a good sell. I feel like this Alexander Madison signing doesn't really affect him much. To me, that symbolizes Zamir White is the guy. I would have been much more concerned if they brought in like a Tony Pollard. Madison, with how bad he was last year, I feel like he's coming in to be a clear backup, which, to be fair, they kind of needed. Like, they had, like, another former Viking, Amir Abdullah, Brandon Bolden, I think. Like, the backup running back room looked just awful. So, I think Alexander Madison signing is actually more about everyone else on that team. I think it solidifies Zamir White for now as the RB1. That could be a team that could draft a running back. And that's what could muddy it up and be a three-way committee. But I would still think Zamir White gets out of here not as a loser. That Alexander Madison isn't good enough to me to take him off what he is now. I think so. He might actually even be a good investment. I wouldn't want to buy him though before the draft. If he survives the NFL draft and he costs a little more, so be it. That would be the time to go buy a Zamir White.
Yeah, Madison's always kind of played that like relief, where he comes in on the, third down kind of thing. And so he's never been really the goal line guy and stuff like that. So I agree with you on that one. So
they had to go get Cam Akers, and he struggled mightily, but like it was a vast improvement as a goal line running back. All right. Well,
all right. Who's your number one?
I'm at home, my home country. I'm going to make a homer pick. Although I do legit think it's great. And it's almost a 2-for-1. Green Bay Packers with 2 moves. So to me, entering the offseason, looking at the Packers, back to IDP for Jamie though, they made a I mean, they fired their defensive coordinator. The new defensive coordinator, Jeff Halflin, he's a former defensive backs coach in the NFL. They retained their own defensive backs coach. So Halflin saw this guy on the team last year on Barry's staff and said, "I know what I want in a DB coach. That was what I did in the NFL before he was a defensive coordinator, head coach at Boston College." So he was pretty particular. So okay, that's two coaches with good defensive back experience, and then someone else he brought on also had former NFL defensive back experience. Think of the passing game coordinator. So this coaching staff, there's a ton of emphasis on the secondary. But they did a complete renovation, especially at the safety position. They let Darnell Savage walk in free agency. Jonathan Owens walk. That was, I think, a really smart move by the Bears because they got him for pretty cheap. I would have actually liked to see the Packers bring Jonathan Owens back because we also lose Simone Biles. Simone Biles attacked.
Yep.
It totally canceled out the Taylor Swift energy because the Packers beat the Chiefs. So Simone Biles greater than Taylor Swift. As much as I like Taylor Swift, it's hard to argue against Simone Biles. So that sucks because the Packers, I mean, Owens, I thought actually played pretty well as a starting safety last year when Darnell Savage did get hurt, but they decided to move on from both. I know my co-host on the Full Press Packers pod, Jesse Hall, he really wanted Antoine Winfield from the Buccaneers. And
he was good last year.
Sure your dismay as well, the Buccaneers franchise tag him, so he will stay in the NFC South.
Mm-hmm.
But after Winfield, number 2 on that list of best free agent safeties was Xavier McKinney. And not only that, because it was such a huge need for the Packers to even just have a starting safety, they have currently slated Anthony Johnson as one of the starting safeties, and he might still be. He was a rookie last year, a 6th rounder, who we liked more than a 6th rounder going in, especially Jesse thought that was a steal in the draft. He actually had to play more last year than expected as a rookie, so he might be able to do well as one of the starting safeties. But for him to be your number 1 safety currently, that seemed like a big problem. So for the Packers to dish out big money to go get Xavier McKinney was, I think, a genius move because he might have not only been their number 1 safety, might have been the number 1 free agent overall for the Packers. They went out and they paid big money to get him, and I thought that was such a key move. And then they reinforced what they already had by paying Keyshawn Nixon, who's their all-pro kick returner, but he played basically full-time as their slot corner last year once they traded away Rasul Douglas to the Bills. So they got him for I think it's 3 years, $18 million. So $6 million for your starting slot corner. That's becoming such an important role. And double duty as also your all-pro returner. I thought that was a genius move too. And they had to go pay McKinney. He was highly sought after. There was thought the Eagles might steal both the Giants players, Barkley and McKinney. Thankfully for maybe the Giants, but certainly for Packers fans, they ended up getting McKinney. The contract was 4 years, $48 million. So certainly paid up for him.
Yeah, but that's not horrible.
Money. No, but that's good starting safety money. Yeah, it's not breaking the bank, setting records, but that's what it costs to go get an elite safety like that. He hasn't had an all-pro season yet, but he could be just on the verge. And with this new coaching staff and the emphasis on the secondary, already having Jair Alexander, Xavier McKinney now in a key spot, I really love that move. And to address 2 spots, the secondary, one retaining a guy that was super important, the other bringing in McKinney. I thought so. The McKinney Nixon signing, and then the Halflin hire as well. The Packers number 1, but certainly the number 1 free agent move I thought was Xavier McKinney.
What do you think? And what do you think about Josh Jacobs going there?
See, I don't love it because I'd rather have Aaron Jones. I know Jacobs' longer-term contract, the 4 years, he's younger, but to me, the Packers, they kind of proved last year they're ready to win the Super Bowl now. I think as a pass catcher, but more importantly as a leader on this team, I think Aaron Jones would have been better to have than Josh Jacobs. So I would have actually just preferred they just give Jones the money he was owed, not try to negotiate down with him. I don't hate Josh Jacobs' move, and I get it. He's a better interior runner than Aaron Jones, but he's not the route runner and outside pass catcher that Jones is. He can still catch the ball really well, but not running routes downfield like Jones does. And again, the leadership, Jordan Love's first year last year really did feel like Jones was one of the key leaders, maybe the most key leader for that offense. I think losing that, it's a year maybe too early for Jordan Love to now have to be that true leader in the locker room. So I didn't love it, but to me, the McKinney move erases all the bad doubt about the Jacobs move. So if that's what it took, because honestly, I would have rather them go get Saquon. Now it cost a lot more than Jacobs, but that pass catcher, that true difference maker. I could buy that with Saquon. Not so much with Josh Jacobs. So that I don't hate it, but I don't love it.
Okay. All right. All right. Spoken like a true fan. Spoken like a true fan. You can't
I'll,
love all the moves.
Hey, but I'll champagne this and champion this McKinney move. But one thing I want to talk about was the trades that were made at quarterback. So the Commanders trading Sam Howell to the Seahawks. Now he's competing with Geno Smith, and then one signing was the Steelers signing Russell Wilson, but then trading away Kenny Pickett to go then trade for Justin Fields. Now we have Fields, Wilson in a potential QB battle in Pittsburgh. Same with Sam Howell and Geno Smith. What do you think of both of those situations?
I think that I don't understand how Fields didn't go to anybody else and that they only got wasn't it a 6th round for him? Like I just think that was.
You talked about how the Vikings at quarterback.
My gosh,
should have been the team that went and traded for Fields, and yeah, maybe in division the Bears don't do that. I also don't know why the Broncos haven't done it, but I think maybe both those teams are thinking rookie quarterback. Clearly,
yeah, you always want a veteran in-house, right? Like you want a veteran, but I've always heard that Russell Wilson is not good in the clubhouse, that he's not this, great guy behind the scenes. So, is Mike Tomlin trying to recreate maybe that Ben Roethlisberger feel with a, quarterback who's a little bit more of a veteran, that he's standing in the pocket? Because if you're looking at like, the ups and downs, right? You have a veteran, you have a more consistent guy, you have a guy that knows the NFL's better, the plays better, the ins and outs, things like that, right? But you've got that upside of Fields that can run, but Fields has, been more inconsistent, right? He's a young guy. I think they'll start off with Wilson. I don't think that it is a competition at all in the beginning. I think Wilson will start. I think it is Wilson's team for now. But I could very easily see, Mike Tomlin pulling the plug on him sooner than later, and maybe he sees what Sean Payton saw. Like this guy is not who we want leading this team, and maybe they try Fields by halfway through or something. But I don't think it's much of a competition. I think that it's definitely Wilson's job to have, and I don't think unless he does something just atrocious, because I know that he had a ton of interceptions last year. I don't know the number on him, but I know he had a ton. And if he just goes out there and just then lays a big egg, then Fields will start. But I think Fields is your backup quarterback now.
Do you get the same sense, like with going with the veteran Geno at the Seahawks and Sam Howell right now, the backup? I feel like the one thing that could change it is if these quarterbacks lose, right? Like if Russell Wilson's losing games, the Steelers want to win and want to have a winning record. That's when they flip the Fields. But if they're winning games, yeah, I agree. They're just going to ride Wilson out. Do you see it the same way with Geno Smith?
I don't know. I think that Sam Howell he's got better pieces around him in Seattle, right? Like in my opinion, there's better receivers and better running backs than there was in Washington. I like Sam Howell.
Yeah.
I like Sam Howell, and I think that he could give Geno Smith a run for his money. But I did see an interview where he was like, nope, this is, Geno's team, just like Drew Lock said, this is Daniel Jones's team and all that stuff, And I mean, I know that's kind of things they have to say. But I think Geno proved himself last year. He absolutely did. But now we've got all new, we got a new head coach there. And so, I don't know. I could see Sam Howell giving him a run for his money. I don't see that happening with Fields off the bat, but I could see there being more of a competition between Geno, because they only gave Geno like 1 year, right?
Yeah.
Did they extend it 1 year?
It beyond this? Yeah, I can look at that.
And he got like a guarantee or something, but I still and of course they're going to say Geno's the guy. Of course they're not going to rock the boat right now, but I could see that being a more of a competition than Fields and Russell Wilson.
So yeah, I think this was supposed to be his last year. What the recent contract was, they extended it beyond to next year.
Okay. Yeah.
Now, like next year, the cap it goes up from 26.4 to 38.5, but they can also release him and save, looks like $25 million. So there's money in the future, but he's got to earn it. Like he's got to leave this year as still, like if he loses his starting job to Sam Howell, I think the Seahawks just get rid of him and they move on with Howell. So I think
right. Well, and I saw that Michael Penix, obviously, hometown boy kind of thing, that the offensive coordinator used to be his offensive coordinator. Yes. Yeah, so that's a potential that they, maybe maybe grab him too. And then it's, I don't know. I'm just, looking at all the different, rumors that are going around. But I definitely think that's more of a competition for sure.
I wonder if the fact that they went with Sam Howell right now, though, makes me think, are we, the Seahawks are thinking, are we not even getting a chance to get Penix? Because, now the Vikings may be moving up in the first.
Yeah.
Broncos are probably going to take a quarterback for sure now. So that's
no doubt.
And if the Broncos don't move, I think they're 12th. So that's at the very least, we expect 4 quarterbacks to go in the top 12. You throw in Penix as a 5th. I mean, maybe they don't like Bo Nix. Ryan Grubb coached against Bo Nix, so I think maybe he's like, no, that's not the guy. We beat him. We don't need him.
Right.
And maybe they just think Sam Howell's the guy there. So yeah,
I like Sam Howell.
I can see both quarterbacks taking over, but the truth is Sam Howell's got a couple more years left on his rookie deal. Where this is, Fields a free agent next year, which means he can choose his destination, but there's also no incentive for the Steelers to keep him beyond. I mean, maybe they like him and they want to extend him. Maybe they're 1-year deals basically with both Wilson and Fields. So it's audition for both of them, and then they see through the year who they like as a leader. And I think that's the one thing you talk about, how Wilson's so seemingly disliked by so many teammates.
Yeah.
Everyone out of Chicago says the exact opposite. It seems like most of the players were sad to see Fields get traded away. I think they'll I think it was Jalen Johnson, the corner that just got the big extension. He was saying whoever, if we draft somebody, we'll embrace that rookie like we've embraced Fields, but it's still going to be sad that Fields is gone. But we're not going to stop working just because of that. It's with your quarterback, so maybe it's magnified, but you lose teammates every year, right? There's always changeover and stuff. So we're professionals, we'll get used to it. But it seems like the sentiment around that locker room is they're just sad that Fields isn't there anymore. So
yeah, I saw that.
Maybe they balance out. They want Fields to help Wilson. How do you be a good teammate? And Wilson maybe help him to be a good quarterback. Hope that the two of them learn. Wilson did put a post out. It seems like he's excited to be on teammates with Justin Fields.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I also saw that TJ Watt and all those guys were loving on Wilson, saying that he's, and maybe it's just that different culture, right? I think that, I don't know. I don't know. I could see Russell Wilson trying to prove himself, kind of like Baker Mayfield did after he got a shot in Denver and he kind of blew it. That maybe he's like, you know what? Oh, I'm gonna do it this year. And maybe Mike Tomlin's the guy to do that, because Tomlin is kind of that, I don't know how to describe it, but I mean,
he's the calming presence as a coach that just helps players, and he sets his coaching staff up well to just detail oriented and he doesn't get too ahead of themselves. So much of the process more important than the results, and that's why they end up getting usually good results. So seems like it's just well set up, well organized right from the get go in terms of training camps and preparation.
Correct. So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
All right, so just a couple of quick hitters before we get out of here. So a couple news. First off, Julia is joining us. So hello, Julia.
Whoop, whoop.
How's day going? Day's going well. Love being here on the 2-point conversion. We did just go through our 3 best and worst free agents. So anyone, of course, if you can't catch us live, you can always head to the Going for 2 Live YouTube channel, and all of the videos that we do live are all available after the fact. So all our archives from every episode of the 2-point conversion is available for sure. You want to see what you missed.
Hit me and Kyle up and tell us your favorites and your winners and losers. We'd love to hear them.
Yeah, for sure. Best and worst free agent signings, could be teams, players, anything you want to say. So just a couple of non-football things. First off, golf. Some people like golf enough. My parents are obsessed with golf, so I've learned to enjoy quite a lot as a child and now an adult. The Players Invitational was this last weekend, and it's not considered one of the 4 majors, but I believe outside of the majors, it has the 5th highest purse for any of the tournaments. So it's effectively the 5th major. And so really stacked field, and number 1 player in the world, Scottie Scheffler, shot a 64 on the final day to kind of come back from behind and take the win. He won last week as well. So back-to-back weeks he's won. He also won the Players last year, and apparently they talked about this being such a big deal. I didn't realize this. No players ever repeated at that tournament. This is the
That's pretty
the 49th edition of the tournament.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So Scheffler, number 1 player in the world, and the putting has really helped him these last 2 weeks. And he looks like he's the best golfer in the world right now, and won the first official major, even though it's the unofficial major, I should say. Now, as the major season kick off with the Masters next month, a tournament he's already won, and of course he's already won at. I'm sure Scheffler comes in as a heavy favorite there. I don't know
I
if
just like what I just like
Jamie put money on Scheffler for him to say he's a
nice.
big winner. But go ahead, sorry.
I just like driving in the cart and drinking beer. So
Yeah, both can be fun. You know what's funny, because people say that a lot about curling too, right? The most
Mhm.
former world champion curler Randy Ferbey said like the athleticism of curling today is so much different. When his last world championship I think came in 2004. He says like back in my day, like the most athletic part of curling was after the game everyone would run to get the table closest to the bar. So
Love it. Love it.
So okay, so Julia's asking this. I already kind of shared this earlier. To me, the Packers signing that made me want to like jump on the couch in terms of excitement is, I guess, well, I guess maybe jump on the couch in anger I could do for Josh Jacobs, but no, Xavier McKinney. That was the signing that I really wanted for the Packers, and that happened. So that was anything else that happened was worth it to be. To me, it was the Xavier McKinney signing that I was just crazy about. I hate that the Packers don't have Aaron Jones. So that's the one thing that sucks there. But quickly as I get out of here, curling world championships are going on for the women right now. Team Rachel Homan that represents Canada is 4-0,
Yep.
and they went undefeated at the Canadian National Championship. So they've won 6 events this year, and they've played in 8 events. And in those 8 events combined, they have 5 losses. So they have more like tournament wins than actual losses through all those tournaments. So it's been an insane season, and so far, I mean, if they're on track to go perfect and win this, it'll be seven tournament wins. So hopefully they can win the World Championship gold and take away. The Swiss have won 4 in a row, so that team, I think they play each other tomorrow, and probably will play each other in the playoffs. So can Team Rachel Homan bring it back to Canada? We'll see. Tabitha Peterson with the Americans, she's ranked 15th in the world. I think they were 2-2 or 3-2, so they could have a shot too. So we'll see.
I love it. Back to back going for 2-point conversions, and we talk about curling. I love it. I love it.
If you have me on this time of year, I'm going to talk about curling. This is the season champion. When it gets to like right after the Super Bowl to basically the Stanley Cup playoffs, it's to me that's curling season, because that's when all the
I love it. I love it. I love it. Well, Kyle, I appreciate you joining me again, man.
Yeah, I know Courtney wanted to get your thoughts. Sorry, Julia wanted to get your thoughts, Courtney, quickly on the Saints free agents. If you want to say anything before you leave, and then we can head out.
I mean, I'm glad we got rid of Michael Thomas. But we talked about Chase Young a little bit. That they picked him up today, and I really, really like that. I like him and Cam Jordan together. I think that's going to be really good for us. And yeah, we shall see. I'm actually more excited about what we can do in this draft than I am what we did in free agency. No questions. I'm excited.
I think to me it was like re-signing Tyrann Mathieu, re-signing DeMario.
Yep.
Davis. They lost a few players too, but they went and they re-signed key players. I think that was for how limited money they had. That's probably the best you could do, is who are the players we can't afford to lose.
Yep. And I think that I feel like we are always consistently building our defense and offensive line at the Saints. Like it's just a never ending. I think it's like that for all teams, but it just seems like it's never ending for us. So I think just like you're saying, we got some key players, and I really like Chase Young today. So yeah. C+.
Right.
C+.
All right. Well, not an F, right? It's not the Cowboys.
Thanks for the question, though. Appreciate you.
Yes, appreciate Julia, Jamie, anyone else who's watching, joining. Again, Going for 2 Live. There's tons of content every night. Jamie is on tomorrow night on the Fantasy Cheat Sheet. So check them out. I think they'll probably 9:30 Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, I believe. So yeah, thank you, Courtney, as well. This was a great episode of the 2
Thank you, Kyle.
Technically, it'll be our final episode in March, so we'll see what the April showers bring upon us, and what our schedule is like in April to come back with.
It's gonna be exciting, because then we're gonna be even closer to the draft, and it's gonna be super exciting.
Ooh, okay. So last thing, Julia's mentioned steel curtain on the rise. So she's thinking the opposite of you, with that it's Russell Wilson's job until Fields should follow Jordan Love's path. Following Russell for a year or two, and then and we'll see. And I mean, like the Steelers,
Yeah.
if they don't play him much, maybe they can cheaply re-sign him this offseason to a 2-3 year contract, and maybe it's just a 1 year tutelage with Russ, and Fields takes over next year. I think they have at the very least to get him in the building for that cheap.
Yeah.
It's a sixth
Cheap.
a sixth in 2025. I think that could become a
Yep.
fourth if he plays the
plays.
majority of the snaps. So
Yep.
to your point, I think Wilson's going to at least start, and if they get to halfway through the season, maybe week 9, maybe right after that 51%, and it's not going well, maybe that's when they pull the trigger on Fields. Let him sit on the bench for let's give him 10 weeks on the bench. At that point, if we really feel like Wilson's not getting the job done, then we go to Fields. But yeah,
I agree, and I think I do agree with you, Julia, but I think that it is I don't know. It was a weird signing to me. That was one of the weird ones.
Yeah, a lot of strange things in the NFL. It's wacky, wild, weird free agency. Yes.
Wacky winner.
All right. Well, this was the 2-point conversion. Follow Courtney on X at LoveTractor3 or LoveTractor3. It was the U.
Love Tractor.
Yeah, LoveTractor3. I'm at Senra Says. Thank you, everyone, for watching another episode of the 2-point